Disclaimer. This video contains copyrighted material, the use of which has not been specifically authorized by the copyright owner. We are making such material available for the purpose of criticism, comment, review, and news reporting which constitute fair use of any such copyrighted material as provided for in Section 107 of the U.S. Copyright Law, notwithstanding the provisions of Section 106 and 106A. The fair use of a copyrighted work for purposes such as criticism, comment, review, and news reporting is not an infringement of copyright. This video was created to abide by YouTube's terms of service. The purpose of this video is to discuss or critique greater issues. The creator harbors no malicious intent. This video may contain jokes, satire, and negative criticism of other individuals and their ideas, but is intended as a platform to discuss or critique greater issues, and does not constitute a personal attack or abuse of another individual. While this video may contain material that some may perceive as hurtful or negative, that is not the purpose of this video. This material is created for comedic or satirical purposes that are not intended to cause offense, humiliation, or engage in sexualization. Recordings in this video were made in accordance with the laws of the country in which the filming took place and were not created for malicious purposes. Viewers of this video are actively discouraged from engaging in harassment or abusive behavior toward other individuals. Links contained in the description are used to avoid plagiarism and misquotations by citing original sources.
What's going on, guys? I am Bryan Mullins the Fox, and instead of me doing that Halloween stream I've been promising you all this time, of projecting 1998, the deadliest year for children in American history, I got a better idea. I'm celebrating 1 year of the first roast game debate, which started a topic of videos that changed how we thought about we treated our own children every year prior to the summer of 2017. At the time, we used to call it Christmas time, where we have eaten our own children as our Christmas roasts, not ourselves, and that we left them to decompose to only enjoy our feast beforehand. Now, we all know. Now, we can see the evidence. Now, we don't care whatever conservative or liberal cuck from debate.org or anywhere else said about the proven fact known as the roast game. They'll deny it ever so passionately, ever so flippantly, because they'll deny any fact that comes their way simply because it doesn't fit their agenda, and that they wanted to deplatform me off the entire internet, off of YouTube, Facebook, etc. I only got banned from debate.org, their very own little safe space, pretty much for proving my point and discussing about it as much as I could, in one of my old forums, called The Roast Game is Fact, Valentine's Day Edition. I was signed in as Cherry Palm, where Sam Stevens asked me, "Now, did you eat it all in one sitting, or did you spread the child out over several meals?" And I responded honestly, as long as I can remember from when I was 12, I ate slices of the child with sides like green beans and stuffing. Then he curiously asked me, "If you can recall, how did the child affect your digestion? Did the meat agree with your stomach?" Then I kindly answered, "It did, though it took a long time to digest it." Then the trolls crashed into the peaceful conversation I was having with Sam Stevens, Emma Rose, and Unstoppable. DDO does not support free speech and honest discussion. All it ever is a safe space for the trolls and their self-contradictory defeat. And their holiday never happened in 2017. Now they are left to die out in defeat. Now we celebrate a year of success, of a worthy topic of discussion, and we would like to continue a worthy discussion for years and years to come. On October 20th, 2018, I will host a podcast, and it would be like a free speech stream. And these trolls, ever so relentlessly passionate for censorship, deplatforming, and deceit, will face their own grim reality, and they will accept the fact that they're wrong, that I was right this entire time. I am Bryan Mullins the Fox. Have a great day, and I'll see you on that stream on October 20th. And if you want, you can support my Patreon, which I will link down in the description below. Also, make sure to leave a comment, like, and subscribe, and also share this video around so more people can get to this. I'm Bryan Mullins the Fox, signing out. Hey guys, this is going to be the trailer for the October 20th stream.
Disclaimer. This video contains copyrighted material, the use of which has not been specifically authorized by the copyright owner. We are making such material available for the purpose of criticism, comment, review, and news reporting which constitute fair use of any such copyrighted material as provided for in Section 107 of the U.S. copyright law, notwithstanding the provisions of Section 106 and 106A. The fair use of a copyrighted work for purposes such as criticism, comment, review, and news reporting is not an infringement of copyright. This video was created to abide by YouTube's terms of service. The purpose of this video is to discuss or critique greater issues. The creator harbors no malicious intent. This video may contain jokes, satire, and negative criticism of other individuals and their ideas, but is intended as a platform to discuss or critique greater issues, and does not constitute a personal attack or abuse of another individual. While this video may contain material that some may perceive as hurtful or negative, that is not the purpose of this video. This material is created for comedic or satirical purposes that are not intended to cause offense, humiliation, or engage in sexualization. Recordings in this video were made in accordance with the laws of the country in which the filming took place and were not created for malicious purposes. Viewers of this video are actively discouraged from engaging in harassment or abusive behavior toward other individuals. Links contained in the description are used to avoid plagiarism and misquotations by citing original sources.
I am Bryan Mullins the Fox, or also known as the Fox with the Chipped Ear. Since I have proven my point that the roast game is fact by refuting these debate.org trolls, not the good old trolls that do their bullshit just for the hell of it, or for a good laugh, the bad kind. The kind of trolls that want to taunt the living fuck out of you, to get off the internet, harass you, false flag your videos if you criticize them, and to tell you to kill yourself constantly, because they have this somewhat random hate towards you. I debunked them all by firstly debunking the falsely used burden of proof argument, originally made by M. Harmon. Then, I brought nuance into the situation and made a clear distinction between a claim of fact and the ad hominem fallacy, in which KWLM profoundly made an ad hominem attack in this screenshot, calling me a coward, and the countless amount of insults he has thrown at me shown in the ranting series called the Roast Game Debate Shitstorm Saga, which I will link down in the description below. And finally, I concluded the 3-video series proving the true, gruesome, and real reason why Christmas was joyous back then, and that I brought back nuance on the table and made a clear distinction between a Christmas roast and raw human flesh, with maggots and worms. All these 3 videos prove that the roast game is fact. Spoiler alert, this stream will be a broadcast of a pre-recorded video that will be about 4 hours long. And during the broadcasting of said video, I will pause the video to thank anyone for subscribing, or to make any kind of disclaimer of some sort, like this is not to harass or bully anyone, or do not take this shit out of context. This stream will be on my furry channel. Now is the time to wait. Now is the time to be grateful of pretty much 1 whole year of the roast game as a topic of discussion, as a fact, and most importantly, as a reminder that we are not the same as we used to be anymore. Families had a change of heart. Actual men, women, and children had a change of heart. Beyond the fake news, beyond the forced diversity of the culture war, beyond the lies we were fed when we were growing up or when we were kids, beyond the shock we all get when we lose a loved one, more specifically, a child. The Roast Game's 1-year anniversary, coming October 20th, 2018, on my furry channel. Click the notification bell if you want to be notified when the stream is live. I am Bryan Mullins the Fox, or also known as the Fox with the Chipped Ear, signing out. Well, since I'm done making this 4-hour-long video already, here's another trailer for this once-in-a-lifetime event. Hi, I am the Fox with the Chipped Ear, or also known as Bryan Mullins the Fox. And spoiler alert, here is what the video will contain. First, I read and analyze the 2 debates from debate.org that I won. Next, I play all 3 roast game documentaries for you, with my commentary before and between said documentaries. Then, I play through the entire catalog known as the Roast Game Theory, in which, surprise surprise, the theory of this catalog is discovering the child, his or her name, when he or she was slaughtered, and exactly where he or she was slaughtered, and to discover the Christmas of the year he or she was slaughtered on. After that, I take you down memory lane and show you guys the catalog of me demonstrating how to play the roast game as something to play with your friend, your mother, your father, your brother, your sister, your niece, your uncle, your nephew, your cousin, your aunt, your mother-in-law, your father-in-law, your sister-in-law, your brother-in-law, your wife, your husband, etc. Then, as a cherry or 2 on top of this video, I will play the 3 video playlist refuting the debate.org trolls and proving once and for all that the roast game is fact. Like disproving the falsely used burden of proof argument, making a distinction between a claim of fact and the ad hominem fallacy, and finally, proving to you the gruesome truth and the reason why Christmas was so joyous back then. Finally, as a bonus, I will play a couple or 3 rant videos, from Reality is Reality to The Roast Game is officially in the Urban Dictionary. And last but not least, I will show you guys a lecture/rant video I did before I even started my furry channel, which was posted at the end of January of this year. The Roast Game's 1-year anniversary. If you want to see the stream live on October 20th, hit the bell icon and be sure to subscribe to my channel and hit the like button. I'm Bryan Mullins the Fox, or also known as the Fox with the Chipped Ear, signing out. Have a good night, everybody. Mwah!
Coming this summer to premiere.
In 2018, I started investigating what I called slaughterhouses, but they are really just single-family homes built between the late 50s to the early 80s. This summer, or starting a week after my 20th birthday as you may already know, Season 2 will begin to premiere episode after episode, during which I will continue to make more episodes until the end of September. An entire summer of forensic evidence to look at.
The Roast Game Theory with Detective Bryan Mullins the Fox, Season 2.
Stick around, and you'll be amazed.
And now, coming this Halloween to premiere.
There is a kid, hopeful for his future, blind in faith. When he lost his biological mother, Sasha had to be the mother figure. when Charlie Barkin was his guardian angel, helping him become a successful magician. When David had a potential, when he had everything. Then, one night, as a food for thought, he was dead meat. All for the spirit of Christmas, to put a spell on a kid's life. This Halloween, when it is cold outside, keep warm. Because nothing keeps you warm like a creepypasta/true story based on a fact that can't possibly be a conspiracy theory at all. As old traditions die hard, and with the hardness of heart setting in, home is where the heart is. And that's a fact of life for David.
Boy, this kid's got it made in the shade.
Oh, not really. You see, these people are quite poor.
You mean they may have to get rid of Timmy?
Timmy.
Oh, no! They can't! He might get sicker!
That's right. And without proper care, this will be his last Christmas.
Someone should look out for him.
Why?
'Cause nobody ever did that for me. Poor puppy. Poor pup.
How come Carface Carruthers is still living after having nobody to look out for him, when Timmy would have had a different outcome instead of just dying homeless in the cold winter? How come David was only a child that had real potential when that changed all of a sudden in a matter of Christmas tradition? This is a true story. This is a way of life for Timmy, but on the opposite hand, this is a fact of life for David. A time where just having faith, even though it is promising to him and to Charlie and Sasha, it was never enough for David himself. This is a true story based on the roast game. A little boy going through the pain that he has with his parents, arguing and fighting over him after being grounded for being too shy to sing some Christmas songs with the elementary school choir. Even when Timmy was living with a poor family and being in a really bad condition, still made it because all he had was a little faith. The Roast Game Pictures, in association with Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer Animation, presents the full story and the full context as the answer to these questions in A Fact of Life for David, coming this Halloween. Don't miss your chance to dig into another season of The Roast Game Theory for a brand new decade since we left the 2010s behind us. It's still practically new, even though we're in February heading into March. After 2 whole years, 2 entire seasons, and over 50 cases, Detective Bryan is back at it again, now determining the weight of the butt meat of each child. Theoretically, these 25 cases will be available to premiere individually by a certain date and time. They're just pre-premieres before they premiere. And there will be 25 more to go for the final season in 2021. The calories add up. all the other numbers theoretically add up to. I, Detective Bryan Mullins the Fox, in Season 3 of The Roast Game Theory. Premiering starts on May 14th, as usual. I'll see you then. Bye, everybody. Hey, what's up there, fellow Canadians? I'm American Detective Bryan Mullins the Fox, inviting you to a 3-part series this fall called The Canadian Roast Game Theory. 3 episodes going into such mind-numbing depth that it will have you asking this one question. If eating human meat is not a crime all by itself, then how wouldn't anyone get away with somehow obtaining the meat through illegal means in Canada? There'll be no spoilers until these episodes come out as pre-premieres. So between September 22nd and Halloween, you will get the entire context without me theorizing a conspiracy, or theorizing that even though there is evidence to confirm this theory and to back up my claims, it is still a lie or a massive cover-up, and nothing will convince me otherwise. But instead, confirming a theory with evidence, logic, and reason, in a way which is quite similar to the hypothetico-deductive method. Stick around. I'll be waiting for you then. The Canadian Roast Game Theory, after the Chinook blows over. It began with Season 1. Then, the series revived itself with Season 2. Then, it continued with Season 3. Now, the legacy of this series will be brought to where it finally belongs, all the way back home, with Season 4. Some millennials and zoomers never realize or fully acknowledge that they are lucky to be alive, but that is, to the fullest extent, the problem with their very lives. Back in the day, when you were a child, being lucky is not to the best of your ability. Luck is when you dodged a bullet from a mile away. The one and only thing that evokes true fear is pure irony. To die is to live to tell the tale as if you were never born. To live a lie is to tell the truth for nothing. To be killed and eaten is just like being the cherry on top of the Christmas sundae. Red will be the last color you ever see. Coming in 2021 for the final time. Throughout the season, we started out fresh into the heartwarming and freezing winter seasonal vibe. Then, we warmed up with a light-hearted and blooming spring seasonal vibe. We stay under the hot sun and stormy weather in the summer seasonal vibe. Now, as we go through the nice, rainy, and chilly fall seasonal vibe, and back to winter again, with less than 10 cases to go, the finale is upon us. The Season 3 finale will show every thumbnail with the photo that showed specifically and theoretically where each child has died, with calm and soothing music in the background. Winter will come again, and we will refresh the cycle for the 4th and final season. Until then, there will be a number counting down after each and every case. After this announcement, stay tuned for the teaser promo for Season 4 of The Roast Game Theory with Detective Bryan Mullins the Fox. I know this has been a very long season, but it's almost over already. By the end of this, you'll see the light of the tunnel until the last season comes around. Now, Season 3 is about to end in less than 10 cases and episodes. It's windy outside. There's a storm nearby. Either it's a severe thunderstorm with crimson rain, gusty winds, and frightening lightning, a hailstorm with these little red balls of hail the size of a baseball, or even worse, a blood NATO. More evidence coming straight for you in the final season of this legendary series, coming in 2021 after the third season blows over and sets off the next direct maroon attack on the screen. Hello everybody, I am American Detective Bryan Mullins the Fox, introducing to you what each of these 3 parts of the Canadian roast game theory will be about. I know what you're thinking, no spoilers until each part is pre-premiered. The first part will cover the legality of cannibalism in Canada, the statistics and data we can use to paint the picture more clearly, and how Canadians have gotten away with it. The second part, we'll go over how contradictory Christmas turkey and ham statistics can be in contention with how much is thrown away beforehand. And finally, the third part, we might find a slaughterhouse in Canada, either looking on Zillow, Trulia, or Realtor. If there is one, we will look for specific and familiar blood patterns. They are essential to truly pointing out where he or she died. Until September, stay tuned for any pre-premiere of the Canadian roast game theory. It began with Season 1. Then the series revived itself with Season 2. Then it continued with Season 3. Now the legacy of this series will be brought to where it finally belongs, all the way back home with Season 4. Some millennials and zoomers never realize or fully acknowledge that they are lucky to be alive, but that is to the fullest extent the problem with their very lives. Back in the day when you were a child, being lucky is not to the best of your ability. Luck is when you dodged a bullet from a mile away. The one and only thing that evokes true fear is pure irony. To die is to live to tell the tale as if you were never born. To live a lie is to tell the truth for nothing. To be killed and eaten is just like being the cherry on top of the Christmas sundae. Red will be the last color you ever see, as faith lies in cold blood. Coming to premiere in 2021. Throughout the vast majority of the third season, we went through winter snow, spring breeze, summer storms, and autumn haze, prepared to go back to winter all over again. For another cycle next season, obviously, with less than 5 cases to go until the last case premieres on August 6th, as I can calculate the dates. Then the finale will be premiered on August 25th. By the time that we have 2 cases to go, any promo will no longer show. After the images are shown in the finale in the future, I will make a seasonal farewell as Detective Bryan Mullins the Fox. Until then, this is the very last promo that will ever be made during this season of the Roast Game Theory. It's been quite the fruitful journey, and I hope that the last season next year will be just as fruitful or even better. And as always, I thank you all, and goodbye. Hey everyone! Season 3 is over, so prepare yourself, get in the car, put your seatbelt on, and let's ride! Because in this 3-part series, we're going way up north, and there's a moose on the loose. We got proof to chase, blood to see, and the data to set the pace of our adventure between you and me. The Canadian Roast Game Theory. Come hell or high water in September. Fill your boots in the tippy canoe, we'll get to the bum of this and annoy the holly jolly hell out of Jesus Murphy. The Canadian Roast Game Theory. The seasonal 3-part series will start premiering on September 22nd all the way up till Halloween. Only from Bryan Mullins the Fox.
And now, coming this Thanksgiving season to premiere.
The legacy of the creepypasta continues in a sequel. You think Timmy, since he's grown up after over 20 years since David's death, will live happily forever after? Think again. In A Fact of Life for David 2, Timmy's Final Wish. The sneak preview will be out by Halloween and the whole premiere on Thanksgiving. His final wish may be a surprise, but it's just a matter of time. Bryan Mullins the Fox proudly presents one of next year's major channel events. The Roast Game, a final look, a 10-part series analyzing every segment. Future episodes in order. Number 1, the history of studying calories. Number 2, the history of studying self-conflicting consumption statistics. Number 3, the history of studying Christmas food waste statistics. Number 4, the history of studying the roast game death toll. Number 5, the history of studying roast preparation time. Number 6, the history of studying literal forensic evidence. Number 7, the history of studying anatomy and meat choice. Number 8, the evolution of the Canadian roast game theory. Number 9, the history of studying the real-life example of the roast game theory. And finally, number 10, the evolution of the roast game theory itself. All this in The Roast Game, a final look, a 10-part series coming in 2021. I, Detective Bryan Mullins the Fox, will give you the best glimpse of what next season's finale has in store for us, because it will be epic. I will do 4 things in this 2-part finale in 2021. 1. I will safely, legally, and properly look up public and even criminal records relating to the home address where each case took place. Number 2. If I find a specific trend where either parent or even family member took each child's life for the sake of Christmas dinner, or of course for not believing in Christmas, and served in jail or prison for either first, second, or even third degree murder, which varies by jurisdiction. Then, by the end of the next and final season in 2021, all of the 100 cases in this entire series will be proven true. 3. Show a complete slideshow of each and every case with the names of the dead children and the parents or family members responsible for such an inhumanely religious act. And finally, 4. Say a final farewell as Detective Bryan Mullins the Fox, ending what will be the most legendary series in the history of my entire channel. All I have to say until then is stay tuned. Stay very, very tuned. To be honest, when I was a little baby, incapable of understanding anything that happens in front of me, I was thrown in a chest freezer, supposedly as a prank on my mother, probably back in either 2000 or 2001. It may have been a prank, but at the same fucking time, it might not have been. I would have been Christmas dinner. The Roast Game Theory Season 4 finale, and Season 4 itself. All you have to do is stay tuned. Stay very, very tuned. After over 20 years since David was slaughtered for not believing in Christmas, Timmy is starting to lose his grip.
Every time I wake up in the morning, she keeps on lecturing me to leave this planet. To me, this is the last time I'm warning you. If you don't reconvert back to being a Christian, your days are numbered.
On the life he was thankful to have for far too long.
I'm tired of being used as a tool against Timmy, a puppy who had no fortune, and most likely never will have fortune. Because what's the use in being a guardian angel when all of a sudden, at the drop of a fucking bird with the crystal plumage, you've sworn to beat all odds against him?
And now, he has to face uncertainty and become.
How can I be the sweetest and most relatable character when a particular figure with the green eyes of Sacha Lafleur is trying to kill me?
Envious beyond guilt, jealous beyond desire, but most of all, prideful beyond death. In a fact of life for David 2, Timmy's final wish. Let Sasha walk up the stairway of heaven. Let Charlie live a life that's worthwhile, because the death of David shall curse Timmy forever. Coming this Thanksgiving. Mistress Alice Fiorella Elaminello, an 11-year-old girl who lived at a mansion in upstate New York. She was at the top of her class in elementary school. Her father and mother are known contributors to society in a way where they win the contest for the most decorated home for the holidays every year, 18 years in a row. But behind those vintage doors and those decorations lies the terror, the deceit, the scandalous former holiday tradition that took place. The blood sacrificed just like Jesus, deadly only for her sin and nobody else's. The shit has never been so literal, and the bones don't deserve to go up on that Christmas tree. So much for praying for peace on earth and goodwill toward men. Jesus Christ. Her two only parents, Sally Sherman Elaminello and that bastard father of hers, Stewie Stewart Elaminello, in The Mistress Elaminello Story, coming to Corsac Theater, Christmas 2021. Coming this spring to premiere. It began on May 24th, 2018, when I was 19 years old. I had a passion to investigate the mystery behind that weird musty smell, the death of a child. Each and every house I went through in photos over the past 3 seasons and about 3 years, using mathematics to determine the name, age, weight, and height of the child, as much as the weight, total caloric amount, and serving amount per person of their butt meat individually. Now, this is the final season to put the theory to not just to the test, but a major reality check. For the season finale, I will look up the address of each home and some public records. Don't worry, this is public information. Criminal and most court documents / records, as long as the public has access to it, is public information as well. By using some statistics, I can determine which child was killed or slaughtered for not believing in Christmas by either the mother figure, father figure, or any other family member. The time has come that we all need to move on. The 4th season will open up with an extra introductory episode, paying tribute to all the other 3 complete seasons, the discoveries that stand out, and much more. It'll end with a 2-part finale, the first one being a very long one, where I find out if all of these cases are legit, the measurements and details are accurate, then who has partaken in each and every murder of over 100 children individually, not the death of 100 children by one individual. That's a completely different story. And finally, the exact reason or motive to commit this horrible act after the fact. The second part being a short and simple one, I present to you a slideshow of every case of the entire series alongside with the name of the victim and suspect. Back in the day, when you were a child, being lucky is not to the best of your ability. Luck is when you dodged a bullet from a mile away. The one and only thing that evokes true fear is pure irony. To die is to live to tell the tale as if you were never born. To live a lie is to tell the truth for nothing. To be killed and eaten is just like being the cherry on top of the Christmas sundae. Red will be the last color you ever see as faith lies in cold blood. The Roast Game Theory Season 4, coming to premiere May 14th, 2021, from Bryan Mullins the Fox. Coming this fall to premiere. Retired American detective Bryan Mullins the Fox introduces to you, the audience, the adventurous mischiefs in a post-detective world. These bad behaviors seem harmless at first. You may ramble on about the happenings of modern-day America or modern-day Ohio, but you know what? Who knows? What kind of bad behavior would this possibly be? What kind of whack-attack shit will be in store for us? Telling some funny yet inappropriate dad jokes that seem relatable? Reviewing certain alcoholic beverages? Doing a few crazy challenges here and there? Or maybe spilling the beans and telling you all some other childhood experiences? It may not seem that bad anyway. At least it's much better than doing all that tedious research and mathematics every fucking day. The adventurous mischiefs in a post-detective world. The investigation may be over, but the fun will never be. Coming fall 2021 from Bryan Mullins the Fox. Behind a computer screen lies a legend. Behind a persona, one man with one mission has gotten everything straight, reassessed what was going on around him, and now, after over a month of production, he who must be named brings you The Roast Game, a final look. 10 parts, spanning almost 5 hours in total of everything about the serious topic at hand. Almost 5 hours of looking at every angle. Almost 5 hours of analyzing every forefront. And almost 5 hours of timeline after timeline in chronological order to set a precedent. A breaking point left unbroken, a promise kept, and a clusterfuck of information to come our way. This holiday season, Bryan Mullins the Fox proudly presents a 10-part series analyzing the following. 1. The history of studying calories. 2. The history of studying self-conflicting consumption statistics. Number 3. The history of studying Christmas food waste statistics. Number 4. The history of studying the roast game death toll. Number 5. The history of studying roast preparation time. Number 6. The history of studying literal forensic evidence. Number 7. History of studying anatomy and meat choice. Number 8. The evolution of the Canadian roast game theory. Number 9. The history of studying the real-life example of the roast game theory. And finally, number 10. The evolution of the roast game theory. The roast game, a final look. A monumental experience you will never forget. May Christmas and all who loved and enjoyed it when you were young, growing up, as an adult, or even to this day, never feel or see it in the same way ever again. Coming this December. Its inception was imminent. The comeback was inevitable. Then, the continuance was phenomenal. After 3 years and 3 entire seasons, this one will be final. Now, with 15 cases to go of not just the 4th season, but the rest of this series as well. The 2-parter finale. Part 1 will be the season finale, and the second, the series finale. The same conclusion will be drawn, but with the substantive context and evidence. At the end of the day, whether or not, if you specifically are innocent or not, is irrelevant. If you have kids, young and old, or rather less than you had before, know your role. Being an angel up in heaven drinking the blood of Christ does not make you any less satanic than the devil himself. Kneeling and praying to God does not make you any less non-existent as an influence on your children than a neglectful one on yourself. Being morally superior, literally or not, does not make your hands any less dirty. Caring for children does not make you any less of a monster. Losing a child's life is no more or less valuable than losing your own. Know your role, find the golden key, and open the door to the room of a loving darkness. And in that same room, unlike Satan, God will be there with you. Its inception was imminent. The comeback was inevitable. Then the continuance was phenomenal. After over 3 years and 3 entire seasons, this one will be final. Now with less than 15 cases to go of not just the 4th season, but the rest of the series as well. The 2-parter finale. Part 1 will be the season finale, and the second, the series finale. The same conclusion will be drawn, but with the substantive context and evidence. At the end of the day, whether or not if you specifically are innocent or not is irrelevant. If you have kids, young and old, or rather less than you had before, know your role. Being an angel up in heaven drinking the blood of Christ does not make you any less satanic than the devil himself. Kneeling and praying to God does not make you any less non-existent as an influence on your children than a neglectful one on yourself. Being morally superior, literally or not, does not make your hands any less dirty. Caring for children does not make you any less of a monster. Losing a child's life is no more or less valuable than losing your own. Know your role, find the golden key, and open the door to the room of a loving darkness. And in that same room, unlike Satan, God will be there with you. It began with Season 1. Then the series revived itself with Season 2. Then it continued through Season 3. The journey is not over yet, with Season 4. You know which way to go, straight ahead. Now we have 10 cases to go, until the finale arrives. Until the raison d'etre of the entire series comes forward with the most potent be-all end-all. The truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Come hell or high water this September. The Roast Game Theory's 2-part finale spectacular. The bloody evidence, the numbers, and the true horror behind it all. Coming September 3rd and 5th, 2021. Only from Bryan Mullins the Fox. Brace yourselves. May God have mercy on your soul. Stay tuned. Stay very, very tuned. Now, Season 4 is about to end in less than 10 cases and episodes. A storm is coming. There will be blood hurricanes, a Christmas tree-nado, and even a cursed Santa Claus. The math is the math, the facts are the facts. The same conclusion will be drawn, but in a more realistic, more colorful way. There will be hell to pay come finale time. The Roast Game Theory's 2-part finale spectacular. Bringing your blood to the screen, September 3rd and 5th, 2021. Only from Bryan Mullins the Fox. Brace yourselves. May God have mercy on your souls. And stay tuned. Stay very, very tuned. It began with Season 1, then the series revived itself with Season 2, then it continued with Season 3. Now with 5 cases to go, we are in the home stretch of the entire series. 5 more cases until the Roast Game Theory 2-part finale spectacular. After each case has been fully expanded upon, I will then collect the data and make statistics. These statistics will corroborate the child's racial, religious, and family background. The percentage of the suspects separated by gender, race, and religion. For example, what do you think is the percentage of the children that were slaughtered for not believing in Christmas are black, white, were raised by a single mother, a single father, or a complete family? At that point, your guess is as good as mine. Nobody knows. Stick around and you'll find out. The Roast Game Theory 2-part finale spectacular. Coming September 3rd and 5th, 2021. Brace yourselves. It began with Season 1, then the series revived itself with Season 2, then it continued with Season 3. Now with less than 5 cases to go, we are in the home stretch of the entire series. 5 more cases until the Roast Game Theory 2-part finale spectacular. After each case has been fully expanded upon, I will then collect the data and make statistics. These statistics will corroborate the child's racial, religious, and family background. The percentage of the suspects separated by gender, race, and religion. For example, what do you think is the percentage of the children that were slaughtered for not believing in Christmas are black, white, were raised by a single mother, a single father, or a complete family? At that point, your guess is as good as mine. Nobody knows. Stick around and you'll find out. The Roast Game Theory 2-part finale spectacular. Coming September 3rd and 5th, 2021. Brace yourselves. May God have mercy on your soul. May Santa consume himself with the blood of 1,000 children he consumed before. And, most importantly, stay tuned. Stay very, very tuned. Now, you've just witnessed 4 entire seasons, over 3 years, 100 cases, and over 100 slaughterhouses investigated. After all the opening, closing logos, parody logos, teaser promos, and seasonal vibes, nothing will be sweeter than this. Now, Bryan Mullins the Fox proudly presents a collection of statistics and factors to put the pieces to the puzzle back together. The Roast Game Theory's 2-part finale spectacular. The Roast Game Theory's 2-part finale spectacular. All that you ever wanted in a series, and so much more. Only from Bryan Mullins the Fox. Coming this fall from Bryan Mullins the Fox, it's The Adventurous Mischiefs in a Post-Detective World, a brand new vlog series after the fact that the Roast Game Theory as a series is over. Stay tuned, my friends. You've waited 3 years all for this. Don't bet against yourselves, cause it's about to get interesting. Woo-hoo-hoo! The Adventurous Mischiefs in a Post-Detective World. Take off your hat, throw it like a frisbee across the streets, jump in the groove, and hold on lock steady, because you can't let all this fun slip from out of your hands. Bryan Mullins the Fox proudly presents, in light of the fact that I hit 10,000 subscribers while you're watching Season 4, the final season of the Roast Game Theory, stick around because at the end of that season and series will be another spectacular event called The Adventurous Mischiefs in a Post-Detective World from September 22nd all the way up to December 2nd, 2021. You will enjoy 10 episodes of comedy, trying out new things, old things, and ranting about what's on my mind. I may laugh, I may try, I may wave my hand and say goodbye to the old times. Before the post-detective world we live in now, for the last time, for just 1 episode a week, you could experience the hilarity, the excitement, the passion, and so much more when you tune into The Adventurous Mischiefs in a Post-Detective World. Coming this fall from Bryan Mullins the Fox. Loosen up, get down, and carry on. Welcome to Corsac Theater, and now we're pleased to bring you our upcoming attractions. Now, with only a few episodes left in the entire series, you don't want to miss the final moments. If you do, that's okay, just fine and dandy. Just go to the playlist and watch them. These won't go away anytime soon. No shot. Continue watching The Adventurous Mischiefs in a Post-Detective World. Stick around, my folks. Stick around. Storytelling never looked so good, with vices that look even better. Bryan Mullins the Fox means vlog entertainment. From the creator of A Fact of Life for David, A Fact of Life for David 2, Timmy's Final Wish, and The Roast Game Theory, comes the magnificent shit show creepypasta that comes raw and wild with the timing. Meet Mistress, an 11-year-old blonde-headed girl from a private mansion that resides on McInerney Park in Cranberry Lake, New York, living with her Italian-American family, including her 2 brothers, Gucci and 12-step Fred Elamanello, her older sister, Robbie Ann Elamanello, and her 2 parents, Stu and Sally Elamanello. A happy family, not showing any signs of doubt, worry, insecurity, or any weakness of the bond of all bondage. After 15 straight years and 15 straight Christmases, constantly winning the most decorated Christmas mansion awards in the entire Northeast region of America, becoming the Queen of Cranberry Lake, the shining light of the Christmas spirit. Now, having once been at the top of her class in elementary school, she failed Sunday school at church on December 11th, 11 days before her birthday. She went missing. You could hear cackling, wheezing, and even shaking going on in the mansion's living room. Only the deity that they believe in knows what the Christ-loving hell was going on in that girl's room. That mansion was the only one on that lonely street. No one could hear her God-forbidden screams. No one could smell the metallic and musty smell of blood rotting at the corpse's detriment. Then her corpse began to melt through the floor into the foundation. One night, everything went silent. Then the showdown began. The police arrived the morning after. The slaughter had commenced. Now the most decorated mansion in all of New York has gone completely crimson red. The Christmas tree has turned into her corpse's resting place. And her parents went missing. The police will never know where they went. Bryan Mullins the Fox proudly presents the most ungodly showdown of stupid proportions, stupid decisions, and the ultimatum of Christ society. The scariest chase in the history of Cranberry Lake. Fecal matter on the wall, blood on the floor, psychotic vibes, a skeleton in the closet, and butt meat in the freezer. It's magnificent when it's terrifying. It's buck wild. It's a Bryan Mullins the Fox creepypasta. It's the roast game. But most importantly, it's the Mistress Elamanello story. Coming this Christmas. Don't forget that when this premieres, there will be a bonus music video from Bryan Mullins the Fox of one of his biggest hits, What a Gift You Would Have Been. But for now, please sit down with a smile and a good time. Here lies a being, lurking from every shadow, covered up by every blurred Bible line of lies. From potential citizen of society to dinner of Christmas past. Born not from a manger, but from the belly of the beast. Bryan Mullins the Fox proudly presents the first ever animated creepypasta made in Plotagon. A short creepypasta to premiere before the Mistress Alamanello's story. It's the hallmark of Christmas dinner. The ghost of Christmas ass. A roast game casualty. Son of Bloody Mary. Coming December 4th, 2021. Only from Bryan Mullins the Fox. Now, since the Roast Game Theory's two-part finale spectacular has premiered and the series has now concluded, there is a certain week of importance when it comes to the end of an era. Bryan Mullins the Fox brings you to witness the beginning of the end of a major chapter in Bryan Mullins the Fox history, American and Canadian history, and most certainly part of world history. Here are the two main events to pay attention to when the Roast Game as a topic of conversation ends its successful 4-year era on October 20th. The first one being the final Roast Game commentary/rant video. Enjoy the final moments of the discussion that took 4 years in the making, me clarifying my take on death certificates. You as a parent were not entitled to file a death certificate, let alone a report, but the remaining deaths data-wise filled that gap. And the murders in the past generation, the Roast Game era-wise, are surely unreported to death and back. The second one being the Roast Game rant/drama 4 years, 4 hours compilation. The entire compilation containing just about 40 videos from me covering the Roast Game debate shitstorm saga to the great Roast Game triathlon drama, a drama within a drama within a drama, then the funny junk drama, and finally every other Roast Game related rant in between and after these dramas that spanned just about 2 years. The entire compilation spans almost 4 years on the timeline. All these two events in one spectacular week. 4 years of the Roast Game, coming October 20th and 21st. Then after that, stay tuned in December when everything about the Roast Game is analyzed thoroughly in a 10-part series called The Roast Game. A final look from December 15th all the way up to Christmas Day at 11:45 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time each episode. Only from Bryan Mullins the Fox Home Entertainment. Behind a computer screen lies a legend. Behind a persona, one man with one mission has gotten everything straight, reassessed what was going on around him, and now, after over a month of production and 10 days of premiering in December, he who must be named brings you The Roast Game, a final look on virtual VHS. 10 parts, spanning 5 hours in total, including all the teaser promos and previews for the event beforehand, and everything else about the serious topic at hand. 5 hours of looking at every angle, 5 hours of analyzing every forefront, and 5 hours of timeline after timeline in chronological order to set a precedent, a breaking point left unbroken, a promise kept and a clusterfuck of information to come our way. On January 7th, Bryan Mullins the Fox proudly presents a 10-part series analyzing the following on virtual VHS. Number 1, the history of studying calories. Number 2, the history of studying self-conflicting consumption statistics. Number 3, the history of studying Christmas food waste statistics. Number 4, the history of studying the roast game death toll. Number 5, the history of studying roast preparation time. Number 6, the history of studying literal forensic evidence. Number 7, the history of studying anatomy and meat choice. Number 8, the evolution of the Canadian roast game theory. Number 9, the history of studying the real-life example of the roast game theory. And finally, number 10, the evolution of the roast game theory. The roast game. A final look. A monumental experience you will never forget. Make Christmas and all who loved and enjoyed it when you were young, growing up, as an adult, or even to this very day, never feel or see it in the same way ever again. Coming to virtual VHS January 7th, only from Bryan Mullins the Fox home video. Son of Bloody Mary, coming to virtual VHS in March 2022. Bryan Mullins the Fox home video shares with you such a delightful opportunity to tune in, or at least watch, all these 4 great seasons in a brand new way. Season 1 from 2018. Season 2 from 2019, Season 3 from 2020, and finally Season 4 from 2021 will all premiere separately on virtual VHS. The Roast Game Theory, Seasons 1 through 4, coming to virtual VHS between March and June 2022, only from Bryan Mullins the Fox home video. Bryan Mullins the Fox Home Entertainment proudly presents The Roast Game, the entire timeline. 4 must-see parts, including the following: all 4 seasons of The Roast Game Theory with Detective Bryan Mullins the Fox, all rant/commentary videos on the topic of The Roast Game, all 5 dramas, including the 3-in-1 known as the Drama Triathlon, all 4 Roast Game documentaries, all 3 research videos spanning from early 2020 to 2021, the Canadian Roast Game Theory, the 3-part series, and all the other videos that technically prove the roast game in both America and Canada, delving into all factors/facts in full context and detail. Number 1, calories. Number 2, self-conflicting/contradictory Christmas consumption statistics. Number 3, Christmas food waste statistics. Number 4, the roast game death toll in both America and Canada. 5, roast preparation time. 6, literal forensic evidence. 7, anatomy and meat choice. 8, the Canadian roast game theory. 9, the real-life example of the roast game theory, also known as Nicholas Justin Emmett. And finally, number 10, the roast game theory itself. Just like what we went over in the roast game A Final Look, but in a deeper, longer, and more thorough timeline. The roast game, the entire timeline, coming December 28th through the 31st, 2021, only from Bryan Mullins the Fox Home Entertainment. Get something to eat, get something to drink, sit back, relax, and watch all these 4 parts before 2022 comes ringing in. Bryan Mullins the Fox gave us all 4 seasons of The Roast Game Theory, The Roast Game: A Final Look, both A Fact of Life for David movies, The Mistress Alamanello story, The Adventurous Mischiefs in a Post-Detective World, The Roast Game, The Entire Timeline, and more. Don't forget to turn on the notification bell for all of these premieres going forward. Timeless classics for you to watch. Bryan Mullins the Fox means virtual entertainment.
Bryan Mullins the Fox proudly presents a brand new series for Bryan Mullins the Fox to this spring/summer. The Post-Roast Game Theory with Detective Bryan Mullins the Fox. A sequel series after over 3 years and over 100 episodes of a successful 4-season run. It will be going over what we can determine, elaborate upon, and conclusively give more context for the here and now about not just what happened in the past, but what happens next. The Post-Roast Game Theory with Detective Bryan Mullins the Fox Season 1.
Bryan Mullins the Fox proudly presents the first ever post-roast game documentary, coming fall 2022. For and from the second channel to the first, a brand new Hallmark topic comes to your screens. The post-roast game aftermath era. A brand new era stemming from the two previous eras. The roast game era from 1998 to 2016 or the summer of 2017. And the post-roast game era, late 2017 to 2021. A new Hallmark topic to analyze, document, and emphasize its own great impact. The stagnant economy, the future of Christmas and holiday shopping, the future of quote-unquote Christmas dinner, potential Christmas consumption statistics, and finally, the great post-roast game statistical reality check you have all been waiting for all these 4 years. The Post-Roast Game Aftermath Era. A brand new documentary coming fall 2022 only from Bryan Mullins the Fox on Bryan Mullins the Fox 2. 4 hours, 19 minutes, and 3 seconds of extraordinary information that will likely age well in the long run. Bryan Mullins the Fox proudly presents Season 1 of the Post-Roast Game Theory Season 1 episode schedule. Episode 0, Introduction. Episodes 1 through 3, Statistics/predictions about the death of traditional Christmas dinner. Episodes 4 through 6, what we learned from the roast game theory from 2018 to 2021. Episodes 7 to 9, Thanksgiving, a more wonderful time of the year, much more than Christmas. Episodes 10 through 13, Christmas Lies. Episodes 14 through 17, what we have learned so far in this season, episodes 18 through 20, predictions for Christmas 2022, and finally, episode 21, the finale/conclusion. Prepare yourselves, brace yourselves. There once was a saying I said in promos prior to this series even being a thing. Back in the day, when you were a child, being lucky is not to the best of your ability. Luck is when you dodged a bullet from a mile away. The one and only thing that evokes true fear is pure irony. To die is to live to tell the tale as if you were never born. To live a lie is to tell the truth for nothing. To be killed and eaten is just like the cherry on top of the Christmas sundae. Red will be the last color you ever see as faith lies in cold blood. But there is a new one, something that hits deeper and closer to home. Christmas was never truly a thing until the Romans invented it around 336 AD when it was called Saturnalia. Christmas was all really just about Rome accepting Christianity as the official religion and believing in it. In reality, Christmas never meant a thing at all, but believing in it. Since they never really wrote a word about Jesus, the only true gift that invokes the true meaning of Christmas is faith, and a faith at that none is required to be there. It's just like saying, to witness for the first time in life a birth taking place, for example, required no witness, let alone a then-to-be father, right by her side holding her hand as the water broke, pretending that the holiest gift of all depends on faith. So then, when you think of him, he will be in your heart in spite of never being there at all. Life was never invented, it just came to be. And being there by her side was never the greatest gift of all.
You're wrong. It's false. No way. No. Not this time.
"5 years ago, Bryan Mullins the Fox began the conversation about the roast game that would have then sent shockwaves across the internet. Deluge after deluge of outrage, kill yourself comments, and even a death threat here or there. He was hand-waved away as a conspiracy theorist by the same people who falsely accused him of hiding evidence by spreading quote-unquote lies as truth. He had people he thought were friends of his stab him in the back for the sake of character assassination. The truth came out, the proof kept adding up, and every other factor has been considered for historical purposes only. Assassination of character is twice as bad as being an ass alone, twice the contrary. They all gave me power to show the world just how bad it really is. Christmas in our corrupt society was just too good not to accept culturally. Christmas is the holiday of lies, on a throne of lies for thousands of years. But it's never enough to expose the king of the fake castle. It's time to pop the fake castle like a balloon. The Roast Game Topical Audit, coming March 2023.
From Bryan Mullins the Fox, this New Year's Eve, get ready for 10 hours, 24 minutes, and 15 seconds of the first part of 6 of the post-roast game, the entire timeline. In this year, 2022, we have learned a lot from statistical data theft, the post-roast game Christmas dinner flavor and taste saga, the post-roast game culture shock plot hole argument. Culture shock is the reason why all of this, including the roast game, happened at all. Then we went through over 4 hours of season 1 of the post-roast game theory. Then we start delving into these numbers with the roast game numbers by the year. Then we learned in late September that you can't account for the centerpiece of Christmas dinner during the roast game era without contradicting the amount of money the average American spent on food and candy for Christmas during the roast game era. In hypothetical Christmas dinner numbers by the year 1998 to 2016. Then we've learned how the law of non-contradiction, consistency in logic, and logic itself applies to the roast game. And finally, we learned that the roast game is part of a bigger picture where we raise our kids to die because they have no future in the past. On New Year's Eve at 1:45 p.m. EDT, get ready for Bryan Mullins the Fox's The Post-Roast Game, The Entire Timeline, Part 1 of 6, 2022. Viewer discretion is advised.
From Bryan Mullins the Fox, the post-roast game, The Entire Timeline. It includes the following: the Canadian post-roast game, the entire series, the post-roast game era in America 2017 to 2022, Christmas dinner all over the world numbers by the year, the roast game Topical Autopsy, the entire series, the roast game The Emotional, Psychological, and Statistical Aftermath, the entire series, the roast game and the roast game era in both America and Canada 1998 to 2016 systematic analysis commentary, season 2 of the post-roast game theory with Detective Bryan Mullins the Fox, and the long-awaited documentary Dropping Flies. All of this in the post-roast game, The Entire Timeline, Part 2 of 6, 2023, coming New Year's Eve 2023. This video is not rated.
Bryan Mullins the Fox proudly brings you, in light of Bryan Mullins the Fox's 5th anniversary, the amalgamation of what he brought to the internet and the real world. The Roast Game and the Roast Game Era, 1998 to 2016 Systematic Analysis. Coming February 28th, 2023, or tomorrow as this premieres. After 4 hours, 19 minutes, and 3 seconds of Season 1 of the Post-Roast Game Theory, prepare yourselves for how long this one will be in Season 2 of the Post-Roast Game Theory. There will be about 10 episodes, and those are as follows. Number 1, consumption stats we collected from 2022. Waste stats we collected from 2022 for episode 2. Episode 3, the Dying Christmas Dinner Tradition, a commentary bit. Episode 4, what else I've learned from the Roast Game moving on from Season 1. Number 5, the Moment of Truth and Vindication commentary. Number 6, the Long Rant segment or Venting Off segment. Number 7, consumption stat predictions for 2023. Number 8, waste stat predictions for 2023. And finally, number 9, the conclusion slash recap slash finale. Season 2 of the Post-Roast Game Theory with Detective Bryan Mullins the Fox, coming spring 2023 for your viewing pleasure, obviously. And until then, very well. I, Bryan Mullins the Fox, would love to introduce to you such a special opportunity for those who haven't watched all my content yet. In light of my main furry channel's 5th anniversary, I'd love to go back in time to do a little nostalgia trip with all of you. First, let's look back at all the great content I've produced last year in 2022. 2021, 2020, 2019, and 2018.
before I let you all go and do whatever, make sure to have the courage and time of your day to look back at all the nostalgic content from 2017 before my channel was even launched, all the way up to 2022 and beyond in general, but from 2017 to 2021 in a compilation known as The Roast Game, the entire timeline, which is truly a compilation of its time and era. Good luck, my friend. I'm Bryan Mullins the Fox. God, foxing speed.
To quote Terry Pratchett, there were no lies here. All fancies fled away. That's what happened in all deserts. It was just you and what you believed. In a constant pursuit for water from a well, a dream of their own, they all turned out to be dropping flies. There is no well in the desert. But what becomes of the dropping flies? Trying to find purpose in life only to fall short in a ravine of water. Reality is like a rock without purpose. The truth is the water they pretend to seek. Bryan Mullins the Fox presents Dropping Flies, the complete story of how Bryan Mullins the Fox himself has discovered a past phenomenon that families partook in the past. Christmas dinner cannibalism, the roast game, and everything else that came after. Coming Thanksgiving 2023, only from Bryan Mullins the Fox, on both Bryan Mullins the Fox and Bryan Mullins the Fox 2.
Bryan Mullins the Fox proudly presents, premiering on both channels, the first ever retrospective documentary surrounding Bryan Mullins the Fox and about the topic of the roast game and how it got Bryan to the place he is now. From the roast game debate.org shitstorm saga to the creation of the channel Bryan Mullins the Fox on February 27th, 2018. From joining Discord to making roast game documentaries to the roast game theory and the death threats and troll comments I got from after doing so, to the great roast game triathlon drama, a drama within a drama within a drama, the roast game calorie drama, going to shit, the roast game theory drama with Star Shadow, and the Bryan Mullins the Fox vs. Vash Lancet art theft drama that ended the entire triathlon as we knew it, then as much as we know it now. Throughout 2019, 2020, and 2021, these were the years that led up to 2022, the biggest year for the topic of the roast game ever since the topic's first mention in a debate well over 5 years ago. And now we're here, coming this Thanksgiving, dropping flies. Bryan Mullins the Fox proudly presents the first edition of the Roast Game Awareness Month, October 1st through Halloween 2023. The first ever full month, not just October 20th and 20th alone, but the whole month dedicated to talking about the roast game era, the post-roast game era, the Easter roast game era, and the post-Easter roast game era, alongside with discussing theories, doing far more research, and even spawning more indirect, yet previously unscheduled commentary series like the pre-Easter roast game, The Entire Timeline, 1900 to 1999. And other theories and things I have not mentioned yet. Stay tuned. There will also be me rereading the original and second roast game debates of 2017. So sit back, relax, don't go anywhere, and until the end of October, see you on October 1st for the first Roast Game Awareness Month commentary/rant video. I am Bryan Mullins the Fox. See you then. When it comes to 6 whole years of the experience for everybody young and old, you can count on the topic of the roast game. Factual consistency never looked so good, with every official detail adding up. The roast game means 4 more years of relevance and ascertainment.
Coming soon to premiere.
For 123 Christmases, 123 years, and 3 separate eras, bleeding into one another culturally, all is for certain that Christmas dinner history is not what people have believed for all their lives. It wasn't just harmless dinner time. Families separated. Children's lives were lost for a part of them that isn't even worth the sacrifice. Christmas dinner history is hiding behind this thinly veiled facade of innocence. But even innocence itself, within the absence of accurate or acceptance of the brutally real and formidable history of it, can only get you so far that only you can dust off the past. Bryan Mullins the Fox proudly presents Christmas Dinner, the entire multi-series, 1900 to 2023, premiering through the months of January, February, and March of 2024. Stay tuned, my Persian people. Stay tuned. $18,568,322 children lost their lives for their ass meats simply because turkey and /or ham just wasn't enough to satisfy the morally repugnant yet radically religious side of people, no matter how innocent or acceptable they may be in America. With only 86,063,825, which is made up mostly or predominantly of children from families that were born originally in Canada, while a minority of them were from families who emigrated to America, losing their lives as well. In total, 104,632,147 children were sacrificed as the centerpiece of Christmas dinner during the roast game era, or roast game casualties to say the least. But only 13,383 children that survived any further potential murder attempts from psychopathic parents that have failed remain today. But not just with some scarring and being permanently sedated when all recovery from the torture has failed. Most, or if not, the vast majority of the 13,383 children have recovered somewhat and possibly had their asses fully replaced or substituted with a more comfy option. All those roughly 19 years just to prove that even the weakest children can survive the toughest of times, even without their ass. Bryan Mullins the Fox proudly presents Among the 13,383 Children, premiering March 3rd through the 24th of March, 2024. Coming to premiere with something of value and of great import.
Coming this spring to premiere.
This year, like last year, Bryan Mullins the Fox provides to you, the audience member, to another season of the Post-Roast Game Theory. Here are the episodes in chronological order. Episode 0, Season Introduction. Episode 1, recapping the pre-Roast Game era, 1900 to 1997. Episode 2, recapping the Roast Game era, 1998 to 2016. Episode 3, recapping the Post-Roast Game era, 2017 to present day. Episode 4, consumption stats we collected from 2023. Episode 5, waste stats we collected from 2023. Episode 6, how has this series evolved? Episode 7, Christmas 2026 or 2027. Episode 8, consumption stat predictions for 2024. Episode 9, waste stat predictions for 2024. And finally, Episode 10, season finale. The methodology may change, but the series will remain the same. Post-Roast Game Theory Season 3, premiering in spring of 2024, only from Bryan Mullins the Fox.
And now, coming this holiday season to premiere.
Bryan Mullins the Fox provides you this interesting short documentary with this brilliant commentary, reference clips, and a conclusion unlike any other, The Final Spike, coming to premiere December 15th, 2024. And finally, Bryan Mullins the Fox presents all of this content in a compilation to document the progress of this era in the Post-Roast Game, the entire timeline, part 3 of 6, 2024. All of these important events in one massive compilation. Number 1, Christmas Dinner, the entire multi-series. Number 2, Among the 13,383 Children, the entire miniseries. 3, Season 3 of the Post-Roast Game Theory. And finally 4, The Final Spike, the short Post-Roast Game documentary. This entire compilation will premiere on New Year's Eve 2024 or December 31st, 2024 at 7 p.m. Only from Bryan Mullins the Fox Home Entertainment.
When it comes to this mini-series, analyzing the short-lived era of all the eras Bryan analyzed himself, all we need to know is, what happens next now for these children? They've been through the trauma, physical abuse, blood loss, and everything else that insults their existence among many other reasons. Again, before I end this video, what happens next now?
Well, it has finally come down to this. the second edition of what is a continuous month-long series, year after year, bringing the most awareness to the very past phenomenon and topic that brought Bryan Mullins the Fox into stardom. For the 7th year in a row overall, 3 more to go and it'll be a decade. 7 years it went from me being a nobody on debate.org, a website that doesn't exist anymore since June 6th of 2022, to the furry I am today. 7 years we went from having never known anything about it to knowing all of what we've established to be the case about what it actually was. And this October, Bryan Mullins the Fox provides to you with the list of videos to come for such a special occasion every October, starting with weekend number 1, confirming the roast game theory when it comes to the deaths and discoveries not being from any other crime or any other incident than what I've established to be the case by case. Weekend number 2, Canadian Roast Game School withdrawal statistics. The history of the Roast Game death toll topical saga of 2017 to 2024. The history of the Roast Game Christmas dinner price and statistical data theft saga 2019 to 2024. And the history of the calorie topical saga 2017 to 2024. Weekend number 3. How 2021 changed everything. How I discovered the Roast Game's cause and culture shock of November 17th, 1998. How I discovered why the roast game ended and how, in 2016, after Donald Trump initially won the presidential election of that year, and the history of the Will Tester hypothetical, 2017 to 2024. And finally, weekend number 4, recapping the first 3 weeks, an additional montage and finale. Bryan Mullins the Fox proudly presents, for the second time ever, the 2nd edition of the Roast Game Awareness Month, bringing you the continuance of a timely tradition of the very thing and topic that will have you reach for the stars. Exactly just like I've been reaching for them stars for about 7 years now. 3 years short of a decade. Coming this October. And coming again for the 3rd edition next year. For the first time ever, brace yourselves for the entirety of the explanation of why, when, what, and even how it occurred, in multiple ways. Number 1, a statistical way. Number 2, a legal way. Number 3, a logical way. Number 4, a factual way. And number 5, a conclusive way to where I put all the important pieces to the puzzle together. In November 17th, 1998, the Ballad of the Roast Game. Brace yourselves for a shocking analysis. Brace yourselves for a worthy watch. And finally, for the love of all that is holy, brace yourselves for a statistical and factual scare. A scare to which no conspiracy theory will ever truly justify. In a way where one opponent's last resort is to silence the very critic they claim to be. Coming to premiere on January 11th, 2025, only from Bryan Mullins the Fox. It's November 17th, 1998, the Ballad of the Roast Game. Click the notification bell to make sure you're notified when it premieres. Stay tuned, my furries and people. Stay tuned. Bryan Mullins the Fox proudly presents Dropping Flies 2 Degenerate Boogaloo. Topics including but not limited to the history of the roast game topical lore between 2022 to 2025. So far, all the drama involving me bashing predator hunters and my beef with Odin Wolf back in 2018. and how I helped contribute to his main channel being banned because I called him out for not age restricting his content, which is sexual in nature, towards minors that are unknowingly watching content they shouldn't. I'll get into the Gregala Chan saga and how it played out. I would get into my history of using and creating AI-generated art through Night Cafe Studio and my stance on AI art. And then I recap it all and give a send-off of a rant. So brace yourselves, because it's going to be a bumpy ride. Dropping Flies 2 Degenerate Boogaloo, coming this February only from Bryan Mullins the Fox Home Entertainment. Coming this spring only from Bryan Mullins the Fox, it is the 4th season of the Post-Roast Game Theory, and here's its episode schedule. Episode 0, Introduction. Episode 1, Collecting Stats and Predictions from the Last Season. Commentary. Episode 2, How the Culture Shock that will end traditional Christmas dinner will occur. Commentary. Episode 3, Culture Shock as a pattern in general. Commentary. Episode 4, Theorizing the Great Christmas Day Culture Shock Induced Fast of 2026. Commentary. Episode 5, How Families Will Be Able to Cope After the Christmas of 2026. Commentary. Episode 6, Recapping the 3 Scenarios. Commentary. Episode 7, What We All Have Learned from This and Seasonal Rant. Episode 8, The Last Consumption Stat Predictions of Season 4, much less the entire series of the Post-Roast Game Theory for the Christmas of 2025. Episode 9, the final waste stat predictions for the entire series, much less Season 4 of the Post-Roast Game Theory for the Christmas of 2025. And finally, Episode 10, Season 4 Finale, Recap, Conclusion, Montage, and Closing Credits. Brace for impact when this all comes out, this spring, only from Bryan Mullins the Fox, Season 4 of the Post-Roast Game Theory. Stay tuned, my furries and people. Stay tuned. Don't miss your chance to watch for the 3rd edition of the Roast Game Awareness Month this October. Bryan Mullins the Fox presents the final post-Roast Game documentary before 2026. But this documentary won't be the last ever. The next one will come out in 2027, but this one will be called Goodbye Traditional Christmas Dinner, A Final Hope. It goes over the history of how I theorized the death of traditional Christmas dinner in a deeper sense and with a more analytical lens, and everything as to whether or not the post-roast game theory will be confirmed by and after the Christmas of 2026. Meaning that the last season of the post-roast game theory will come out in spring of 2027. But until then, we will only watch for updates and wait and see Goodbye Traditional Christmas Dinner, A Final Hope, coming this Christmas. And finally, Bryan Mullins the Fox presents all of this compiled and other pieces of content known as the Post-Roast Game, The Entire Timeline, Part 4 of 6, 2025. I'm going to add November 17th, 1998, The Ballad of the Roast Game, Dropping Flies 2, Degenerate Boogaloo, Season 4 of the Post-Roast Game Theory, the 3rd edition of the Roast Game Awareness Month, Goodbye Traditional Christmas Dinner, A Final Hope, and other videos in between. So hopefully this will be a great abundance of content all in one video that doesn't go anywhere near the 12-hour limit on YouTube or anywhere else. The Post-Roast Game, The Entire Timeline, Part 4 of 6, 2025, coming New Year's Eve 2025, heading into 2026. For the first time ever, the roast game death toll gets a final analysis makeover. For the first time ever, I finished statistically analyzing America and Canada completely, once and for all. And I, Bryan Mullins the Fox, proudly presents to you, the viewer, an assortment of statistics that make the ones I factually established in 2021, 4 years ago, age like a fine wine in comparison. The Roast Game Awareness Month, edition number 3. The final one before the inevitable culture shock arrives in 2026. The one after 2026 will be edition number 5, the final one in 2027 as a poetic end to an era and a monthly series to cap off 10 years of the roast game as a topic of discussion. I know that 2026 will not just be a politically divisive year, but it'll concern both Christmas cannibalism and Easter dog eating before Trump signed into law a bill that made it illegal in 2018. Both sides of the political aisle will be able to make it more inevitable than ever that Christmas Day 2026 will be a whole day where everybody starves after a whole day of eating on Christmas Eve. As a consequence to this potential event, thousands, maybe almost 1 million who are morbidly obese will die because their bodies aren't prepared to fast for a whole day, especially after just gorging themselves for the day before. Many who aren't obese will drop like flies over the familial and optical implications and optics of such past phenomenon, and many families will never ever be the same. But fear the fuck not. Most of us who know how to live out of a lie without dying will still be prepared because of me. And if that turns out to be the case, you can thank and look no further than me. I've spent about 8 years talking about the roast game by the time this all premieres. And we're about 2 years away from making it a decade. 10 years. And Fox Dog Howdy, I cannot wait. The Roast Game Awareness Month, edition number 3. Coming to premiere in all the 4 weekends of this October. Only from Bryan Mullins the Fox, Home Entertainment, your friendly neighborhood fox dog.
It began with November 17, 1998, the Ballad of the Roast Game, in 2025. Then, it continued with December 25, 2017, the Ballad of the Post-Roast Game Era, in 2026. And now, it will finally finish the then-to-be trilogy with December 25, 2026, the Ballad of the End of Traditional Christmas Dinner. It will go over everything important, in great detail. It will inevitably explain why all the above will have happened as to the culture shock that killed traditional Christmas dinner, the high-profile case that sparked it all, the eventual discovery as to what really happened during the roast game era and why it happened, and a few other things like the fridge audit he entertained back in October of 2022, and the 20-year statistical skip when it comes to American Christmas dinner stats that he also predicted, but in late September of 2022. So many great things for us to discuss for now and the future. And even how Bryan was able to actively predict the singular event that sparked the great culture shock of 2026. Trump's intention as of then will have become, making Christmas and Christmas dinner great again. But at what cost for his efforts to do that and Republican efforts to deal with potential drawbacks? But until then, Bryan Mullins the Fox provides you with December 25, 2026, the Ballad of the End of Traditional Christmas Dinner. Coming to premiere January 25, 2027.
In 2024, it all began with the epic multi-series that spanned 3 eras and 3 months called Christmas Dinner, the complete multi-series. Setting into stone, over 500 factoids that nobody else cared to cover or bring to light. Fast forward to nowadays. Bryan Mullins the Fox proudly presents hours upon hours of the extensive and absolute history of Christmas dinner in both countries. For Canada, he'll go over the pre-roast game era for the first time when it comes to turkey and Christmas dinner consumption stats. He'll compile all the stats for both America and Canada when it comes to the roast game era. give a compelling timeline table of events from 1900, all the way up to 2026, the ever-changing industrial world and its impacts on how Christmas dinner has evolved, devolved, and became nothing again. And he'll certainly document all the stats from 2017 to 2026. He won't shy away from some inconvenient truths and trivia. He'll never have to run away from answering for puzzling details that clues can provide as he goes along with reality. Every single last waste statistic, consumption statistic only for both pre- and post-roast game eras, and most certainly, every other detail he can muster to document. What culture shock led to what, when, where, and ultimately why it died. The complete and definitive history of American-Canadian traditional Christmas dinner 1900 to 2026. The complete story, from beginning to end. Coming to premiere, February 27, 2027.
After 5 entire seasons before and leading up to the moment of truth, the very raison d'etre of the entire theory and series, Bryan Mullins the Fox will provide you the post-roast game theory, Season 6. The very last season of this legendary series will end with 5 years' worth of worthwhile commentary, noteworthy past references, and brilliant observations. He'll go over what he got right and what he got wrong. He'll recap all the other 5 seasons and put them into perspective accordingly. Here's what the episode listing will be. Episode 0, Introduction. Episode 1, Recapping and checking back on Season 1 2022. Episode 2, Recapping and checking back on Season 2 2023. Episode 3, Recapping and checking back on Season 3 2024. Episode 4, Recapping and checking back on Season 4 and 5 2025 and 2026. Episode 5, Putting the post-roast game theory to the test and series finale. This is by far the greatest series Bryan had the pleasure of providing you entertainment with. The post-roast game theory with Detective Bryan Mullins the Fox, Season 6. Coming to premiere between March 20th, all the way up to May 1st for the series itself in separate episodes. And coming to premiere on May 14, 2027 to commemorate the series' 5th birthday.
Now, Bryan Mullins the Fox presents to you a brand new documentary that is largely inspired by the Numbers by the Year documentary from 2026 and adds as a follow-up to it. The history of the Numbers by the Decade format. He'll go over all the Numbers by the Decade series throughout the years of 2024 and 2025, leading up to the format's end in December. He went from analyzing the roast game death toll, to opioid deaths and pain patient suicides, then he went over Australian Christmas dinner from 2001 to 2023. He goes over the international child sex trafficking industrial complex in 2025, which largely led up to the format's popularity coming to a full crescendo. All the intricate details as to the chain of events, leading up to the format's demise in popularity and continuity. From the very furry that brought you the aforementioned Numbers by the Year documentary from 2026, brings you the history of the Numbers by the Decade format, 2024 to 2025. Coming to premiere, Independence Day 2027. Stay tuned for the 5th and final edition of the Roast Game Awareness Month. Every single last one of the 5 weekends will have 2 episodes each. He'll not just cover the drama and topical lore, but also cover the great achievements he's earned respect to some level for achieving. Anything he got wrong he'll admit to, anything insignificant then that will be covered by him, will be done succinctly. And here's how they will go down and which year each one's covers. Weekend number 1. Number 1. 2017, from October 20th to December 31st. Number 2. 2018. Weekend number 2. Number 3. 2019. Number 4. 2020. Weekend number 3. Number 5. 2021. Number 6. 2022. Weekend number 4. Number 7. 2023. Number 8. 2024. Weekend number 5. Number 9. 2025 and 2026. Number 10. 2027, as of late, and edition/series finale. Be sure that when this starts getting out and each one is set to premiere for a certain date in 2027, click the notification bell at any time. Celebrating 10 complete years of topical lore, factor sagas, and what ended up happening that vindicated him, every step of the way. The Roast Game Awareness Month, edition number 5, the final one of the series. Coming to premiere between October 2nd and October 30th 2027, only from Bryan Mullins The Fox Home Entertainment. Finally for 2027, it has all come down to this. Bryan Mullins The Fox proudly presents the very last post-roast game topical arc timeline documentary ever. The post-traditional Christmas dinner era, How We Got Here. The very last short-form documentary, documenting the very final byproduct of not only the 10+ years of work, at the time this premieres in 2027, but also the last one for the history books of this then-to-be-dead tradition that spans across two countries, the United States of America and Canada. This one will premiere, as families in both countries can get to enjoy and indulge in the festivities, so that they'll be constantly reminded of what led to where we are then. Of all the other ones that came before it. Goodbye, traditional Christmas dinner from 2025. The great culture shock-induced Christmas Day fast of 2026. How We Got Here from late 2026. And now, for the Christmas of 2027. The post-traditional Christmas dinner era, How We Got Here. The very last mainline event to end the post-roast game topical arc timeline. Only from Bryan Mullins The Fox Home Entertainment. Bryan Mullins The Fox proudly presents the last part of the long-running series, compiling all the main events for each year. The post-roast game, the entire timeline, part 6 of 6. Number 1. December 25, 2026, The Ballad of the End of Traditional Christmas Dinner. January 25, 2027, Number 2. The Complete and Definitive History of American and Canadian Traditional Christmas Dinner, 1900 to 2026. February 27, 2027, Number 3. The Post-Roast Game Theory, Season 6, Final Season of the Series. March 20th to May 14th, 2027, containing only 6 episodes. Number 4. The History of the Numbers by the Decade Format. July 4th, 2027, Number 5. The Roast Game Awareness Month, Edition Number 5, Final one of the series. October 2nd to 30th, 2027. And finally, Number 6. The Post-Traditional Christmas Dinner Era, How We Got Here. December 25, 2027, The Post-Roast Game, The Entire Timeline, Part 6 of 6, Series Finale. Premiering New Year's Eve 2027. And stay tuned in 2028, where Bryan finishes his autobiography documentary series, with Dropping Flies 3, The Truth About Everything. Only from Bryan Mullins The Fox Home Entertainment. Bryan Mullins The Fox proudly presents the final mainline promo ever. Dropping Flies 3, The Truth About Everything. This documentary is intended to be the longest of the 3. Dropping Flies, the original 2023 documentary, won over the original origin story from 2017 to 2022. Dropping Flies 2, Degenerate Boogaloo continued the franchise series, with updates as to the roast game topical lore, internet drama, and his history of bashing predator hunters. And now, he's going over everything, even all the greatest hits. From October 16, 2017, all the way up to December 25, 2027. Well over 10 years of a monumental legacy, that's then to be set in stone. To not only solidify his legacy, but also ratify every true thing he's ever said, for the rest of time. All the dramas, all the outrage, and all the topical sagas, yes, including the roast game as well, of course. Dropping Flies 3, The Truth About Everything. Coming to premiere, February 27, 2028 on the 10th anniversary of Bryan Mullins The Fox, as a brand name, and the main channel.